So you've broken your fast, or you're about to break your fast. I hope it was a good one. We're going to talk about the fasting mimicking diet and how to break it optimally. This is for Susanna, who has been commenting on some of my videos, went through her first FMD. I don't know if it's your first fast, but you have completed it. And it sounds like it was a great run overall. So I'm very happy to hear that. And I thank you for keeping in touch and telling me that you finished it. So I'm excited for you. I hope you're feeling amazing. And I really love this point because you're at this point where your body is just feeling very different. Your headspace might feel very different. You may feel very good. But the most important thing is how to break your fast. Now, Susanna, you commented on one of my videos that I've done 7 months ago, I believe, about how to break your fast. All of those things still ring true, but there are a couple of things that I do want to point out. As we learn more about this, like more information is coming in. So let's get right to it. So I talked about my little acronym called FUL, F-U-L. It's just a very simple way. Number one, one of three things we're going to cover today in this very quick live. 3 things. So quickly, we can remember that now that we're breaking our fast and we no longer have to feel hungry. So that means that we're going to start feeling full, but just F-U-L, not F-U-L-L. So F stands for fiber. Fiber is only present in whole plant foods. Yes, today we can buy like drinks with fiber added to it. I suppose we could drink something like Metamucil or whatever. But when the fiber is separated from the whole plant, we are not getting all of those benefits that we're getting when we eat the whole plant. And all of those chemicals are having a chemical reaction with every single cell in our body. So that is why we want the whole plant with its fiber. When we eat fiber, we also digest the food a lot slower. So if you are familiar with a doctor named Joel Fuhrman, I like the way he describes what happens to our bodies and how we digest things when we are eating things that are highly processed, or sometimes even just a little bit of processed. Our blood glucose spikes. We have a caloric rush. Those are the terms that he uses, and I love the way he says that. If we eat oil, he's pretty anti-oil. If we eat like refined sugar, we are getting this caloric rush into our system because things are digested very, very quickly. Compared to eating a whole plant, the fiber just slows everything down. Everything is steady and it's in its protected form developed by nature for us. So fiber is the most important thing. And I will say that every single whole plant food has fiber. So when we think about how we're going to break our fast and what we're going to be eating specifically, number one, from that old video, I said, do not go out into the wild on day 6, like on an empty stomach, hungry, excited for different flavors, different foods. Don't go out into the wild. Have your refeeding meal ready at home today on your day 5. Probably the evening right now. I think it's very late in Australia right now. It's probably close to midnight. So fiber is the best thing that you can do. Number 2, I said unprocessed-ish. Let's just be reasonable here. So like some people say that blending up whole plants in a blender is processing the food and therefore it is bad. There is no good and bad. It's slightly processed. If you're getting it into you, fantastic. Breads. There are healthy breads on the market that are less processed. When it comes to pasta, pasta could absolutely be a part of a very healthy refeeding strategy. And Valter Longo also eats pasta, but when you look at his dishes, the way he describes it, and I have recreated it, it is literally 1 cup of cooked pasta and multiple cups of fresh vegetables and beans. So the dosage matters. And then low saturated fat. I said low saturated fat last time, but I'm going to add trans fats. Trans fats. This is a new thing. I'm updating my acronym. So low saturated and trans fats. Now there's a reason for this because when we are fasting, one of the health markers that starts to get pushed down is our IGF-1. It stands for insulin growth like factor 1. When we're kids, we're growing, we're developing, we need higher levels of it. We still need IGF-1, but there is a certain range. What is that range? It's kind of huge when you look it up in terms of what's a normal healthy range of IGF-1 circulating through my body. So it really depends on you. It depends on your situation. Let's say we are battling a sort of cancer. We want to keep that IGF-1 low, right? We do not want it to grow. We don't want our tumors to grow. So one of the amazing things that the FMD does, or any kind of fasting, is that it pushes that IGF-1 down. Of course, during the FMD, we are not inputting things that are stimulating our IGF-1 and allowing us to grow too quickly. So things like animal meats, animal proteins, a lot higher in protein when you compare the protein content in whole plants. So another reason why whole plants for the win, fiber, essentially saying whole plants, unprocessed-ish, you're getting fiber, you're getting tons of nutrients, and then low saturated fat, foods that are high in saturated fat, typically things like butter, cheese, and all meats, all animals. Yes, that includes fish. And even though fish can absolutely be part of a healthy diet, and meat and dairy and all the rest, it's all about the dosage, right? The quantity. So we want to keep the saturated fat low. I didn't say zero. That might be impossible. There's saturated fat in some of the healthiest foods on the planet, but we just want to keep it low. We're going to add to that trans fats. So a while ago, I was on a webinar with the nutritionists from El Nutra, and they hold these things every month for anybody who wants to sign up. And they're free, so I recommend you signing up. They will definitely push their products, which they're doing their jobs, but you always learn something fun. So it was interesting in that these nutritionists, a lot of people were saying, like, what can I eat on a regular basis? How often can I eat meat? How often can I eat eggs? How often can I eat fish? Their recommendation was to keep meat consumption to twice a week. Twice a week. So if you go out for a meaty meal, the whole meal is probably going to be largely meat-based. You could also just look at that as a total dosage within that 1 week. So let's just, for ease sake, let's just say like 2 steaks. If you were to say, well, I have to have a little bit of meat every single day, can you take 2 steaks, those portions, and just portion it out throughout the week, which would look like maybe a little bit of meat on your pasta, maybe a little bit of meat on your salads, but you're getting the fiber into you. So low trans fats also, interestingly, in that same webinar, people were asking, like, what about trans fats? And the nutritionist said, you can have a little bit of saturated fat, you can have a little bit of meat, but when it comes to trans fats, guess what they said? 0. That was their recommendation. We recommend you eat 0 trans fats. Now, typically, Longo, this El Nutri team, they're nutritionists, they're very realistic. They're realists. This is why I love listening to them, because they live in the real world and they're helping people who also live in the real world, like us, right? But for them to say 0 trans fats was kind of shocking to me. And so I think we need to pay very close attention to that. So what are trans fats? They're things that are like deep fried. Like a lot of vegans are like, what can I eat at any restaurant? It's typically French fries. It's like our only option if you're a vegan. That is loaded with trans fats. Fried chicken, all the yummies like various muffins, donuts, things like that. So we're talking the bad form of carbs, okay? And just deep fried food. That's how I think of it, just to be easy, deep fried foods. Limiting our deep fried foods. They would literally say no deep fried foods. I don't know how that's realistic that is for you, but you do you. So the next portions, I said we refeed for 1 day. So on your day 6, as Longo used to say in the past, it's really important for us to refeed well on day 6, the day that we break our fast. So again, we want to keep our IGF-1 levels down. So our meat consumption down. That includes dairy, that includes milk and yogurt and cheese and all the rest, even fish. But he does do fish twice a week. Now, he used to say 1 day. Now it is up to 30 days. Actually, not up to. Drop the up to. It's 30 days. So very interestingly, in the past, they used to look at their human-based studies, and they would see that people who underwent 3 rounds of the FMD would go back to their normal diet. So their normal diet, who knows what that is, but all to say that they are continuing to eat pizzas and fried chickens, the trans fats, And they used to still see positive results, even going back to that. And then they would spend one day on their day 6 breaking their fast optimally, right? They're eating their fresh veggies, or having big salads, or getting their whole grains, or getting their legumes. But now Longo is saying it's 30 days. So the more data that we have, the better outcomes you and I will have, right? Because this is going to help us. So no longer is it day 6 that we're going to pay attention to. We're going to pay attention to all the way up to day 36. Now, of course, this line looks squiggly like this because not every day is going to look perfect, right? It's going to be a journey, as we like to say. Some days are going to be good, some days are going to be bad, but maybe you're going to be very even. So in the description, I have a link to our refeeding guide. It's I've made it as simple as possible. It's got the best lesson in nutrition that I've ever learned in my life. Just separating food. Food is grown either underground or above ground. And just look into that and see how many nutrients and how easy it is to get nutrients into us when we rely on whole plants. That's why they are always our winners. But if you have a solid strategy for your refeeding plan, this, of course, is going to go smoother. I also say, like, we go up and down because we are humans. We have emotions. We have special events to go to. They have menus that are out of our control. And that's okay. Like, I think we should go and enjoy and do your thing. I can't tell you how to eat. You have to make the best decision for yourself. You have to ask yourself, what is a loving way that I'm going to nourish this body and brain? And just do your best. And so that refeeding guide hopefully is very helpful to you. It's super basic. There's just core recipes in there that I have literally been making for over 10 years. And it's very templated. So you can tweak it based on your food preferences, based on whatever food is available to you at your local grocery stores. Don't forget to lean into frozen fruits and vegetables and make your life easy, right? Okay, now the last thing is number 3. 15% shrinkage. Now, I'm not talking about like men jumping into a cold pool or anything like that, but this is what I think of to keep myself on a more steady track as I refeed and break my fast. So shrinkage means that during the 5 days, especially from days 3, 4, and 5, you are going through heavy autophagy. So the body is always going through autophagy, which just means that our healthier cell parts are eating away at the unhealthier or damaged cell parts. This is the definition of detoxing at a cellular level. That's why fasting is so cool, because autophagy is more like a dimmer switch. It's not like an on or off. We don't turn on autophagy or turn it off. Exercise can ramp up our autophagy. So it's more like a dimmer switch. We just increase the rate at which autophagy is happening as we fast, as we exercise, as we do different activities. So when we're fasting, autophagy is ramped up. So that means that damaged cell parts are being eaten away at a higher rate than they normally would, which is a huge benefit. Longo has said that 15% of our organs could shrink, i.e. 15% of the damaged areas of your organs, your heart, your lungs, your stomach, your liver, like you name it, wherever we have damage, 15% of that organ could shrink, especially on days 3, 4, and 5. So Susanna, you've just finished a massive detox. And when you wake up tomorrow morning, that glorious morning, when you are feeling so good, you're still in a fasted state. I always love kind of just like reveling and swimming around in that beautiful space before I break my fast. Also very exciting. But as you start doing that, I want you to think about these organs. So as you regenerate, re-expand, refeed, i.e. break your fast, we are now going to be nourishing stem cells. As we renourish and as the body breaks its fast, it's going to switch from burning fat for its primary fuel source back to glucose or glycogen, which is going to come from a variety of foods. Now, as the body does that, it's also going to activate all of those brand new stem cells that you just generated. Hello. Apparently, most of our stem cells are gone by the time we hit 35 years old, which is insane. But fasting is one way to ramp up brand new stem cells. And now it's time for them to get to work. So that's what I like to think of. I like to think of the shrinkage, the detox. You physically feel smaller. And as you start eating, you will physically see yourself grow. Now, some of the girlies will get very upset about this. They're very excited about the weight loss. And then they're like, oh my gosh, a pound or two came back. Great. That's what's supposed to happen. So if you are depleting your glycogen during the fast, our weight is going to go down. A lot of it is water weight. Some of it is glycogen. Some of it is visceral fat, the fat that's surrounding our organs. That's a really good thing. So as we expand, of course, the glycogen is going to start rising up. We're replacing our glycogen stores, our glucose stores. And glucose can invisibly be stored in our muscles, and that's up to 2 pounds. So those 2 pounds that we're putting back on, up to 2 pounds, not everybody gains back 2 pounds, but if it's up to 2 pounds, that's like invisible energy that you're just going to burn off, like just being alive and sleeping. So don't think that that's visceral fat poundage. This is like good energy, good reexpansion. So I like to think of that because it helps me make better choices. It's going to be very, very tempting to sometimes our temptations go crazy. And that is oftentimes the hardest part, right? Is staying consistent. So high recommendation, do your absolute best. Susanna and all of the Susannas out there, breaking your fast, whether it's Prolon or not, and get to day 36. That's what we're going to focus on now, is breaking our fast very well and being very conscious of how we're eating, nourishing ourselves, as well as sleeping. We got to get good sleep. This is like a holistic thing for 30 days post-fast. All right. So I hope that was helpful. Later on today, in a few hours, I'm also going to release a new recipe called Miracle Soup. It's crazy flu season right now here in the United States and Canada, and I don't know where else, but this flu is weird. It's changing. It's worse than COVID for many people. People are getting a little bit better and then they're getting really sick. So it's time for Miracle Soup, which also happens to be an excellent recipe for refeeding because it is packed full of nutrition. It's delicious. And you can add in your favorite starch. So if you get the refeeding guide, you will have the instructions on how to tweak it and again, alter it so you have an excellent and the most consistent next 30 days as possible. All right. So there you go. That is that. I hope that was helpful. And yeah, thanks again for staying in touch with me. And I'll see you next time. Bye.